tiny components stick to your circuit boards? Let's find out. First things first, you'll need a few tools. A soldering iron, some solder, flux and tweezers. Got 'em? Great. Let's start by applying a tiny bit of flux to the pads on your circuit board. This helps the solder flow evenly. Next, use your tweezers to place the SMD component on the fluxed pads. Hold it steady. Now, gently touch the soldering iron tip to one pad to secure the component. Add a small amount of solder to the pad and remove the iron. Repeat for the other pads. Here's a quick tip. If the solder isn't sticking, add a bit more flux and try again. Patience is key here. Once all the pads are soldered, inspect your work. The connections should be shiny and smooth. If you see any dull or cracked joints, reheat and add a bit more solder. And there you have it. You've just soldered your first SMD component. Keep practicing and soon you'll be a soldering superstar.
Alright, friends and students, after watching the video, I will have a small presentation, very important steps you have to follow. Those things only we will be discussing. Okay, first we will go to the first slide. Right. What you need, essential soldering tools that you have to gather first. That is your soldering iron, soldering lead, tin lead we call it as, stand, it should be placed on the stand, sponge, brass wool for cleaning, wire cutter and other equipments you need, you can see on the screen. Okay. You need components also as well as the PCB also, what you see on the screen. I have just put on the pictures on the screen. Next is safety first. Before starting all the work, you should be very careful about, or you should be knowing about the safety. That is mask, goggles, and you should not be touching the hot iron. Why? Because the temperature is approximately in between 400 to 700 degree Fahrenheit or centigrades. Okay, please remember that. So this is very safety is very important. You have to be very, very careful about this particular part. Next is prepare the workplace. Like wherever you are doing the soldering, the table, the area, you have to arrange it properly. The component part, the tools part and everything should be properly placed so that you can start your work. Okay, right. So first step, you have to tin the soldering. Tip heating the soldering iron and let it reach the correct temperature. You have to heat the iron first and you have to check it first. Okay, how you will check it? By just soldering or tinning a wire. See, if you are tinning a wire means if there is a wire, if you are putting soldering on that, that is called as a tinning process. Okay, so that will be the testing time for you. That is how whether the heat is proper or not, that you can check. Next is prepare the components. Whatever the components are to be fixed on the PCB, let it be resistor, diode, or any other component, active or passive components, you have to prepare, keep it ready. That is, it should be fixed properly on the PCB, right? Let it be anything, right? It should go inside the PCB, bend the leg slightly to the hold in the place. This is called the preparation. Next is solder the joints. The first point, solder the joint. Place the solder iron tip against both the components, lead and the PCB pads. Pads, what is pad? Pad where you do the soldering. A copper area which will hold the soldering, right? Then you apply the solder to it, touch slightly and then gently you have to touch it and automatically it will spread around that particular pad. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. After doing this, you should inspect the joint. Whatever you have soldered, you should see. The very important point in this is it should be smooth and shiny. Okay, it should be shiny type or smooth. If it is not, then you have to reconnect it, reheat it, and you have to check it again. Okay. Okay. Finally, you have to trim excess lead. That means you have to cut down the leads, whatever joints you have done it. The opposite side, what the extra leads are there with the help of a cutter. That is, lead cutter, you have to cut the joints and you have to clean it properly with the help of a solution. You got a separate PCB solution. Carbon tetrachloride can be used, or CTC, that is carbon tetrachloride, or some alcoholic sort of a liquid can be used to clean the PCB. Why? Because we are using, sometimes we use flux also. So the mark should not be there. For that purpose, we use this. Okay. This is finally, you have to remember tips for successful soldering. Avoid applying too much of solder. A little goes a long way. Keep the soldering tip clean throughout your work. Practice on scrap components or old circuit boards to improve your skill. Please remember, this particular part, that is this particular training, only comes with your practice. Thank you.